throughout or anything that's relevant. And he'll be able to answer questions as well in the comment section of Crowdcast. So if you're watching on Facebook, Andrea should be able to attend to the comments on there as well. He's the man. Everybody should give Andrea some praise, actually. He's extremely helpful. All right, okay, cool. Let's get started. Let's get cracking. All right, so I'm going to bring Alex to the camera here. Let me just invite him to screen. All right, I hope you're ready, Alex. Invite on screen. I will show this to my mom. Nice. Also, new t-shirt for the new logo. I hope you like it. This is version 1. All right, I've invited Alex to screen. I'm not sure if he's probably setting up his stuff. There we go. There we are.
You guys hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I have to say thank you so much for making the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Alex is the co-founder of Dollar Beard Club, and these guys are killing it. So I'm super stoked to have Alex here today because I've got questions for him. And also, what I'll do is I'll let you introduce yourself, though, and you can tell like the background story, how you got into Dollar Beard Club, and then we'll take it from there.
For sure, yeah. So basically, prior to the Beard Club, I'm actually originally from Toronto, Ontario, Canadian guy. I moved down to LA with my business partner, Chris, about almost 4 years ago now.
Nice.
I know that's where you're located right now as well.
Yeah.
So nice and warm and get away from the cold and the plane. But different companies, we had a wearables company. Wasn't so good on that one, so it didn't do well. Did a crowdfunding campaign and we fulfilled all of our orders, but we had to kind of pull the plug. We had a golf product. We got into a bunch of stores, but it was just capital intensive. It just wasn't going good. And we were really trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do and how we could be successful in some way, shape, or form, or keep a roof over our heads. Because at that time, we were actually Airbnb-ing our rooms from time to time. I slept in the garage for about a month at our place in Huntington Beach, so we keep the lights on.
Love it.
We actually,
awesome.
We did have a knack, though, for shooting videos. We had one of the guys in our crew, original crew, was really great at doing videos. We had a great graphic designer, web developer. So we just sort of started an agency and started doing work for other people and helping people launch crowdfunding campaigns, help them launch products, and do some branding work. So we did a couple jobs with that business. And then we launched a company called Coolbox and did a crowdfunding campaign for that, which is basically a smart toolbox that like lights and speakers and internal battery.
I saw that.
All sorts of bells and whistles. Yeah, so we did that campaign. It did well. We raised $500,000 for that, and that was just a huge success for us, which came with a ton of complications because it's a very capital-intensive product. So we immediately had to go into fundraising mode to actually fulfill all the orders. We just fulfilled all of our orders 3 years later, last month. So it's a lingering project that had to get done, but we just kept chugging along until it actually happened. Chris, my business partner, was on Shark Tank for that, which was huge and brought a lot of attention our way for that.
Nice.
And actually, the same week that he was filming for Shark Tank, we decided to launch the Beard Club, at the time, the Dollar Beard Club. So we kind of took a look at, we'd been growing our beards actually naturally before that. And it was this sort of like, I guess idealistic thing. Like we were going to do business on our terms and we could look however we wanted and dress however we wanted. And we were just going to be young entrepreneurs, not giving a damn, just going for it. And we were into natural products and eating healthy and really being authentic. And we thought the beard was an extension of that. So we got into beard products and we're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Put some oil in and shampoo and take care of this thing. And it's this whole new era now, as many of you know, if you have, male cosmetic brands or in any way like that, it's okay for men to take care of themselves now.
Yeah, totally.
You're not labeled as one thing or another if you do. So it's like this cool new, I guess, like opportunity for all sorts of brands to step into that role and provide products for men that want to take care of themselves. So we started using the products and everything out there was super expensive. It was like $20 for an ounce of beard oil. We saw how well the, Dollar Shave Club had crushed it. And we just thought that there was just an opportunity to do the same thing in beards. And we saw that a number of people had kind of tried the concept, but never really done it. Through the process of these other brands that we had been building and all the various terrible mistakes we've made, we actually built quite a decent network of people. So we understood even better how to launch a video to launch a company and brand. So we were able to film our video very inexpensively, our first video. We built a pre-launch list because we learned how to do that with, in retrospect, we did a terrible job at it, what we know now, but built a pre-launch list of people that were interested, and kind of got the concept right away. There was a lot of low-hanging fruit. And then we invested, I think it was around 80 grand total into all of the products, which was a huge investment for us and a big risk, but ended up paying off. But that was our first kind of manufacturing run. We anticipated that it was going to do very well, not as well as it actually did, but we ordered a lot of products. We launched the video. We had a bunch of influencers seed the video. Like one of our or two of our advisors built a lot of Instagram accounts.
Oh, wow.
And managed a lot of Instagram accounts for influencers. So they gave us that first sort of like push of the snowball, and word started traveling pretty quickly. And then we started to hit, BuzzFeed and Product Hunt and Huffington Post. And we just started to get all this viral traffic and picking up, which is fantastic. It's kind of every brand's dream to go viral with their first video. And that's what we got. And everyone thinks, oh, that's awesome. Like, problem solved. You have a business. We outgrew our fulfillment center. They didn't have the right technology integrated. So we were doing a lot of things manually. That completely blew up, and we had to migrate away from them after about 2 months of disastrous order shipping disasters, which created customer service disasters. And we didn't even have a customer service team. So it was like all of us, like ground floor team members trying to pick up the slack until we could onboard customer service team members. We eventually outgrew our fulfillment facility. We outgrew our manufacturer initially. They were just not keeping up with like the kind of timelines that we needed. We're talking like, stockouts like crazy, and we're like, hey, we need you guys to work with us. Like, we know this is typically a 5-week lead time, but we're out of product now, kind of thing. So we found a manufacturer that understood that, we were a startup and saw the vision of where we were heading and were willing to buy in. And that's huge, finding partners like that. And the biggest problem we had, and this is something that I absolutely love about what you offer, is that our website from the get-go was just a disaster. We built a custom website, a custom platform, which would have been great if it was very low traffic and if we kept it the way it was, but we wanted to evolve the site and add in things like an ambassador program, a referral program, and various different things. But as we did that, we kept breaking it more and more and more. And we've had still to this day, 2.5 years later, website issues where our website's double billing, people are skipping charges, and that creates customer service issues and reputation management issues. And, we really have to remind people we are doing our best, and we're still a startup and we're not this giant company. We're actually about to launch a brand new version of the website. This will be version 3. So we're super excited about that.
Awesome.
But we didn't start with something tried and true and something that was just like, tested and simple, that we could have grown into this now custom solution for our website. But, hindsight's always 20/20, but that's sort of been like a big issue we faced. But yeah, we've just learned so many tremendous lessons along the way. There are tons and tons of nuggets that we've had to learn the hard way. Some that have kind of come easy and that we've been able to learn from mentors, but you name it, like in every sort of area of the business, we've ran into difficulties and kind of roadblocks. And, to do it again, I think would be a lot easier, but that's just not the way it goes.
So it's always the case, isn't it? Yeah. It's always easier in hindsight. If I could start again.
So I guess that's the 10,000 foot view. Since then, we've done a couple of cool things. Like we've been asked a lot about like how to do videos. So we started to actually put that into like a guide. We have a company called Unconscious Content. We threw a mastermind about 1.5 years ago in Hollywood, where we had a bunch of like influencers and celebrities and entrepreneurs in, and just talked about how to create great videos. That's awesome. And we turned that into kind of like a guide on, how to make great videos on a budget sort of thing, just because that's what people were asking for. So that's never really been like a revenue center for us, but it was just sort of a really interesting way to build out our network and to try something new. And I think like one thing we've learned in this process is selling physical products can be quite expensive and hard. It can be really cool if you can find a way to integrate information products, whether you're selling them or whether you're using exclusive content and information as just a way of retaining customers and building attention and building an email list and building a following. It's really about like having that content and turning your business into somewhat of a media channel so that you can be an authority in that space.
Yeah.
So you're not always pushing product, but you always have people's attention for when you want to. It's been a big lesson that we've learned.
Nice, nice. Yeah. So it sounds like you've had a real, struggle and lots of really valuable lessons. And you've actually mostly covered the questions I was going to ask. But what I would love to know is, first of all, do you want to share a couple of, I call them vanity metrics, but a couple of vanity metrics just to kind of share where you guys are at as a company, just to kind of give them some perspective, because, like, I'm sure there's guys out there who, have got smaller businesses, maybe bigger businesses, but just to kind of gauge it so that people can kind of know where the experience is coming from. If you want to share this, first of all.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to date, we've shipped almost 1.7 million boxes in the last 2.5 years. We've over 200 million video views across different channels, which is a great vanity metric, but which we've learned in lots of ways doesn't necessarily mean a lot if you're not converting that into sales. Especially when you're spending a lot of money on video, you have to really weigh that out. We actually did we did $10 million in our first year in revenue, which, if we'd done it properly, probably could have been 1.5 times that or double that. And it's something that people look at and are like, oh wow, $10 million, like that's a lot, I'll never do that. And to which I say, like, you don't necessarily have to do that. You might be better off doing $1 million and then the next year 5 million and then the next year 10 million. Because you'll avoid all of the things that we did going like from here to here. There was a lot of up and down in there. Like it was an absolute nightmare sometimes. So the vanity metrics certainly are glorious. And on the surface, we've done lots of great things and we have done lots of great things, but certainly a lot of hard lessons caked in all of that. Which, I love to try and share as much as possible to help people avoid those mistakes because it brings more value to them for me, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly why I was excited to get you on here today, because, I feel like that you've got a lot of those struggles that other people might encounter as they grow. And it would be, worthwhile for them to hear this and understand it. Because even though sometimes like you have to go through the lesson yourself, like oftentimes in life, you're given advice by people like, watch out for this. Like, it does make it a little bit easier that you can kind of go, oh, wait, I've seen this before. I've heard this before. Just, navigate around it a little bit more efficiently, basically. So what I would like to ask you is, what's been your biggest lesson, like the biggest challenge, like the number one thing that out of the struggles that you have encountered or the challenges, what's the number one?
That's a really good question. You should have given me time to prepare this ahead of time. So I sound super smart and like I know everything. Realistically, I'm just figuring it all out. I think I guess I'll kind of break that in two parts. The most important thing that we've had for our success has been an awesome team. Because through all of these hard lessons that we've learned, we've had a really great group of people. Actually, almost half of them now are women. So we've slowly had a female take over the company, and the dynamics are switching. Originally, it was 6 guys, kind of at the beginning of it,
with their beards.
So they've which I realize as well. Like a lot of you watching, it might be just you, and I'm currently working on stuff where it is just me again, and so it can be hard to relate when you see the kind of numbers that we've done, but just know that we had more people than you might have. So don't be discouraged. Like it is tough doing it alone. And I think that's something that, I should really convey, and just, don't look at the vanity metrics and think that that's what you need to do. You do what you need to do. But having a great team, the people that we could do those customer service tickets over the weekend for people that got missed shipments, and just kind of, have a few drinks and work through the night on this stuff.
Nice.
That was amazing. And really, I think
you get to share the burden as well. Like you were talking there, like if you're on your own, don't be discouraged. Like one of the things that I keep hearing, and I did have an ex-co-founder. He's a really good friend of mine, but his term sheet didn't allow him to continue working with me on Subbly. But there is one thing that, if you can find a co-founder, I would say that it's quite important, because you can share that emotional burden, because it is stressful. It's difficult.
Totally. Yeah. And you need some form of therapy. And another 100%. Great thing with this group that you've built is just the ability for all of you guys to talk to one another. And that's actually, I was doing research in the space and came across the group, and that's how we ended up talking. Because it is important to be able to know that you're not alone, and to be able to learn from other people's mistakes and share yours, and just to have that kind of camaraderie. But, attracting a co-founder is amazing. And it really comes down to your ability to have a crystal clear vision for your business and to be able to communicate that to people, because you're not going to necessarily have money to go around and salaries to pay. We didn't at the beginning. I actually went over 2 years without making any money, and that was for a guy who was 29 at the time, it was a little bit humbling to be in more debt than I'd ever been in my entire life at that age, not even going through school, because I actually put myself through school without debt. So that was interesting, but yeah, it gets a little tough. But I think a really huge lesson so two really big mistakes made the hard way. One is focusing on retention. In the beginning, we had like no real retention strategy. And a really super easy low-hanging fruit one is your onboarding process when you're bringing people on, which is educating them on your product and 100%. Making sure they know how to use it, making sure they're using it regularly. If we're in a subscription business, you want people to be continually engaging with it. And I got to a point where we were like scared to email people because we thought they would cancel. And we're like, this is not a good attitude to have. We want to have a great relationship with our customers. We want to like remind them, hey, like, you might have ordered shampoo twice and you're about to stack up too much product this third time. Why don't you try this other thing? And we've got finally a lot more sophisticated at that, but really prioritizing retention. Like that's a very low hanging fruit item, is bringing people on like that and making them feel like a part of a community. Prioritizing the way customer service is done and how it handles. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I have a great customer service experience, like when a company treats me well and I get like refunded for something and I don't have to fight for something, like 9 times out of 10, I'll recommend them, or I'll go back to them, or I'll leave them like a great review. And I just have a great experience. So, looking at customer service is actually a revenue center for your business can be a really positive thing as well. So, making, I guess, greater plans for retention in the future and starting with as many low-hanging items, like especially email in the beginning, was a huge mistake. And then I guess like one thing we didn't really do well and we're still working on a great strategy for that I'm really excited about, but is really handling email marketing properly and community building. So we didn't really necessarily know that much about internet marketing, about building lead magnets and tripwires and different offers. Basically, like for those of you who don't know what tripwire is, there's like a lot of great information out there. Like Russell Brunson's probably one of the best, one of the founders of ClickFunnels. Like he does really well with that. But yeah, basically building mechanisms so that you can increase your email list. I always thought that email's sort of dead, and I thought that a funnel was something that you use for beer in college. But really like building sales funnels and giving people offers where, whether it's a trial offer and you're getting people in the door, or you're offering them an ebook on how to, eat better, and you have a meal delivery service, a subscription service for that. Stuff that's really like great content related to what you're doing. We had tons of great content, but we weren't capturing people and internalizing a community. And it's actually quite easy to do that and to build an email list. And it's one of the most important things you could possibly do. If we had prioritized that from the get-go, if we knew what we were doing, we could be doing so much better. We would have, hundreds of thousands of emails more than we do. And the cool thing is when you have a community of people that trust you and that really come to you and like you provide value for, they will more or less purchase anything that you tell them to. And I know lots of people that have communities and are publishers that, provide great value for people, and they actually don't have any of their own products, but they pretty much print money because they have the trust and the attention and the loyalty of their people that are on their email lists. So they can promote a friend's Facebook ads course and they'll just crush it and do a couple $100,000 in sales.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, you can promote other offers. You can build out your own offering. You can sell, exclusive premium content. Like I mentioned before, there's so many opportunities to monetize, your audience when you've taken the time. And really what that comes down to is quality content. And you're going to have to make content anyways as a part of your marketing strategy. So just like, I think making that a priority and then having a plan to internalize that and doing some research on how to build funnels and capture emails and build an email list, it will pay off dividends for the rest of the time, not just for this company, but for whatever company you go on to make next after you crush it and sell this one.
Yeah, because once you've learned those recipes and strategies, like they're repeatable and scalable as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think the tools and certain like nuances will change over time as like platforms evolve and stuff. But like you said, the fundamentals and the theory behind all that stuff is just, for me, that's what I'm most excited about right now, is building sales funnels and building communities.
Totally.
Selling products is tough sometimes, and focusing on things that like providing value for people is really exciting for me. Like I can't wait to build out a Beard Club app and just have exclusive content in there and actually be providing you imagine if all the biggest companies in the world focused on providing a ton of value for their customers. You know, like Nike, for example, does a great job. They have a really great workout app, but if every company you bought for, their mission was to provide you value, so you trusted them more. Like, think of all the awesome free stuff we'd have, and all of like the valuable information we could have on our health and wellness and wealth and all of this other stuff. And I think and I hope, and you know, it's part of my mission to make sure that that actually comes true, and you know, companies are prioritizing that more and more.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also I heard a stat recently which was saying that 50% of the Fortune 500s will be out of business in the next 15 years or something like that. I can't remember. It was something staggering, and I was like, that makes sense, because exactly what you're saying, that the middle-sized, small to medium-sized businesses are actually taking this approach because they understand it. And I think also because when you've got new entrepreneurs who are more empathetic, you know, they actually understand. When you've got the corporate world, you've got this big machine, and these people are just part of the machine. The machine decides, not the people involved. So yeah, that's a really cool perspective, and I like hearing that. And another thing I'd love to find out about, and I think people would be interested to hear, how did you meet your team? How did you meet your co-founders? You know, like those early stages.
Yeah, so I actually got introduced to Chris. He's my business partner, co-founder, and everything. I got introduced to him through a mutual friend who worked with us for a while as well. And him and I just sort of clicked. Like, he's this like incredible visionary, borderline insane, incredibly creative, wonderful individual. And I sort of am a little more systematic and kind of like hold his ankles as he's kind of floating up and just say like, hey, how do we make this happen? And so that relationship worked really well between us, and we just kind of clicked right away, and it was sort of a match made in heaven. And from there, he is actually probably the best salesperson I've ever met. He sold me on moving to California, you know, every vision he's ever had. And that's really like the best, like I'd saying before, the best thing you can do to attract people is to have a clear vision and believe in it, and have that in your heart and be able to express that to people, and you will attract the right people. You'll have to maybe search here and there, but we basically were referred to pretty much everyone we worked with, or just kind of met them. Some people didn't work out over the years when we were working on these various projects. But, you know, we have some people at the Beard Club that have been there since day one, and, you know, do our Facebook acquisition. One's our COO. Actually, both of their girlfriends now work with us. They're fantastically talented individuals as well. So we sort of have like a family business where we have multiple people that are like dating and engaged and married and work together, and it's a really cool environment.
Yeah, that's really cool, actually.
I think, like, to answer that is really through the vision, the authenticity of what we were looking to do and what we were looking to create, and just, you know, asking for referrals when we needed it, and really giving people a chance to grow into different roles. The guy who manages all of our Facebook ads right now originally was doing finance for us, and he wasn't passionate about finance, and eventually we could hire a firm to help us do that instead of him preparing all of it, and now he just crushes it. So that's allowing people to grow into that. But to answer your question in a really long-winded way, it all comes down to that vision, I think, and being able to sell it to people. And from there, even if you're talking to somebody about what you're doing, this is how we've met most people. Oh, like, you're talking to one of your friends or something, like, oh, wow, you need to meet my friend so-and-so because they would love this. And then like those connections end up being great because they just like the matchmaking sort of thing. That's how I met Chris, you know? Yeah,
that's awesome. It's just, like, you're putting the feelers out there into the universe, and, you know,
exactly,
people resonate with it, or they connect you with the right people. That's really cool. And that's a lot of the time people don't actually share because they're in, you know, unsure of themselves, or they're not necessarily confident enough to put themselves out there. And I think that's really important. Excuse me.
I think a big thing too I hear is like people are very hesitant to share their idea because people are afraid to, or they might steal it or something like that.
Yeah, that's big. That.
So, I mean, depending on the industry you're in, there's certainly that degree, but I'm a big believer in trust and faith. And like, if you're meant to roll with that idea and you're super passionate about it and you just have a plan, you go and get it. And there's no reason to hide. I think you should be sharing that, and that's going to help you develop your idea even better. Just know that you're going to do it better than anybody else will.
100%. Yeah. If you know, there's always going to be competition at the end of the day. So you just have to continue focused on your vision. And one last question before we open it up to the floor. There's a couple of questions already been asked. So what would you say your biggest, it's similar, it's not the same, but your aha moment, like or an aha moment where you've kind of gone, wow, I just realized something, and it kind of helped you with the executing on that vision as you moved forward?
In regards to Beard Club,
yeah, or any business, actually, just in your business life, an aha moment that's kind of made you go, all right, I get that now. That makes a lot of sense. Like, something regarding yourself with your perspective on business, or something. It could be even a strategy in business, or a perspective that's helped shift things into place and actually made you more effective when it comes to executing on the vision that you're working on at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of pretty epic realizations and moments. I think, like, the concepts that I was just talking about prioritizing content. I went to a couple different masterminds where, you had guys like Mike Dillard is a great example if you guys don't follow him, but he is amazing at building a community, as the Self-Made Man podcast, and just has a massive email list. And just seeing like publishers like him and people that are in this group that, like I said, do extremely well financially without having many products of their own, if not any. Like maybe they'll have ebooks or something like that. Seeing how well they were doing with that by just strictly focusing on creating value was really like, oh man, like, we're kind of looking at this wrong. And I acknowledge that not everybody has the time to go, or the ability to go and make an app for their company or whatever. But having a wicked blog, like you're a great example. Doing stuff like this is building a community around your product. You're providing value for people. And that's a really special thing to do. And building that trust is great, because people will gravitate towards this. So this is a great example. But seeing how well they were doing with that really opened my eyes to the opportunities for our business, and whatever business I'm involved in moving forward, is just like really prioritizing that content and that relationship with your customer on a longer term, rather than just like, hey, let's try and get a sale. It's like, hey, how can I talk to you for the next 2 years? Because chances are you'll 100%. Buy 5 different things from me in that time, and maybe 2 things from other people that I've promoted. So, that was really big for me.
Basically providing value, I guess, in essence. All right, cool. Alex, those are my questions. So I appreciate that, and giving a nice introduction and kind of overview as to the story and the journey that you've been on, which is fascinating and interesting. And I'd still love to know more, but we'll get there in our own time. Okay, so we've got 4 questions here. First of all, actually, Gary, he's just said, we just had our aha moment. Funnily enough, it was on our onboarding, or lack of it was largely causing our churn. And the other was our email list is very important, and also a Facebook group. And now focusing on both of these. So that's nice. So yeah, guys, feel free to share your aha moments in the comments as well. Actually. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Gary.
We have that too.
Those are good aha moments. All right, cool. So let me just open up the questions here quickly. Okay, so Natalie Seaton, she's asked, what's the best, most effective way to grow quickly on a low budget? I currently advertise on social media and I am growing, but it's slow.
That's a good question. I think like sort of the stuff that I'd mentioned, which is having great content, really can set you apart. That'll get you, a lower cost for an acquisition. The better your content, typically, the lower your CPA. There's lots of different ways to create good content and engaging content, but I think like, that's going to be your cheapest option for promoting things like blogs, or setting up, customer journeys, and getting people onto your email list, because email is still actually the highest return on investment of any form of marketing. If you can get someone on your email list, that's a really good thing. We thought it was dead, but couldn't be further from the truth. So I think like you're doing great. Facebook is our biggest tool. We spend a lot of money at acquiring customers on there. Instagram is becoming more popular for us, but we always find it's a bit of a battle. Sometimes ads will perform well and sometimes they'll plummet. I'm sure you're experiencing that as well. But as a rule, the better our content is, and we only figure this out through trial and error, unfortunately, the better our content is, trying a variety of images, videos, things that you wouldn't think would work can sometimes work. So having a tolerance for experimenting a little bit, and then figuring out, what the best things are, and putting a little more attention that way, I think should help you reduce your cost for acquisition. But there's no real trick. It's tough when you're in that spot. We operate on our own cash flow. We've never raised any significant funds. So we have the same thing. When there's money going out, money has to be coming back in. So we get it, totally get it. And you have to be very sensitive of that. And especially as you're kind of in that scaling up phase, you're buying inventory, there's a lot going on. So it's tough, but there's no necessarily magic bullet. The more time you spend creating great content, the lower your cost is going to be, and you'll start to get, if you say you're producing more and more blog posts, you'll start to become more relevant on Google and start to get some of the traffic as a spillover on that. So again, I guess content's my answer for everything right now. Sort of one-dimensional.
Sounds like no. It's totally relevant, and content's such a big topic. Actually, it's so easy to be like it's just content, but I've actually got a follow-up question for you on with regards to content. Is there specific platforms, and you deal with them differently, obviously? So like you're saying, like changing images and mixing them up. Do you mean on blog posts, or do you mean on like on a post on Facebook and testing different variants?
Yeah, sorry, I meant like the Facebook ad creative.
Yeah,
so trying different phrases, like different ad copy, and then different images. Facebook video for us though has been by far the best way, the cheapest way for us to acquire customers.
Nice.
Because it's shareable and people really engage with video. So I'm not sure if you're making videos already, but I always encourage people to just, try things that they don't think might work. Try some iPhone videos, some personal videos, like those work. You'd be surprised. People are used to seeing iPhone videos, and everyone thinks that they need to make high production videos. And we're sort of bought into that now because we've made so many great videos. It's like, oh, now we hold ourselves to the standard, and it's kind of,
bars up here.
It's kind of bull crap, because people will still engage with cheaper videos. And we learned that the hard way, spending $100,000 on a video that doesn't do that well and doesn't drive sales, and then spending $2,000 on a video that crushes it. We kind of had to stop believing our own BS and thinking that we were video gods, and just say like, hey, let's focus on what works and start creating more frequent content, see what works and what subject matters resonate with people, and trying to divert attention towards that. But I would definitely try some things on Facebook video. You can do sort of dark posts where you're just, if you don't want to post it publicly, you can try it just as an advertisement. So there's lots of different tricks that you can do. I'm not a Facebook ads expert, unfortunately. I kind of wish I was. I'm sort of a jack of all trades and a master of none. So my skill set is in like seeing the overall view, but not actually being able to like run Facebook ads with, the kind of acquisition cost that we need right now. Our business would fail if that was my job. I'd learn it really quick, I guess.
Well, exactly. The pressure's on. I guess you're going to learn to sink or swim,
Right.
Okay. Thank you for answering that one. And thank you for asking that, Natalie.
Thanks, Natalie.
Okay, the next one. Yeah, thanks, Natalie. And Naomi has asked, crowdfunding for startup. Any thoughts or advice in general as a topic? Like any nuggets that you would give regarding that?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the company itself. Like, I think crowdfunding is really best for physical products. That's what we've done well, because it's a very straight like value exchange. It's not like, hey, buy this t-shirt and support my movie. It's like, hey, buy this product and pre-order it now, and you'll have to wait 8 months, but you'll get $20 off, $50 off, or whatever. So if that's what you're thinking, crowdfunding can be really powerful. It's also a lot of work. There's advantages to doing it actually a pre-sale on your own site versus doing a pre-sale on something like Indiegogo or a Kickstarter. When you're on Indiegogo and Kickstarter, you have like, certain legal protections where you don't necessarily have to fulfill all of the units if you exhaust every reasonable attempt, which is sort of like a really bad way of looking at it. Like, oh, what happens if I fail? But we've seen people do really well where they do pre-sales that have like, there's a company called CrowdTilt. I'm not sure if they're still around, but you can put a widget on your, like to make a crowdfunding campaign on your webpage. And that looks actually more credible than when they go to a campaign page and it says $9,000 out of 50,000 raised. People are like, well, I don't want to contribute to that because I don't know if that's going to go. So the secret to really popping off a crowdfunding campaign on those platforms is to, as bad as it sounds, pad the campaign with all of your family and friends and get them to buy your product and make sure you demonstrate traction. Because if someone goes to that page, no matter how much you spend on Facebook advertising, if there's 0 out of $20,000 in your goal hit, people don't want to be the first to hop on board. They don't even want to be the second or the fifth or the 10th. Like, they want to see that this project is happening. They're going to get their money back. But it's certainly a powerful tool. Like, pre-sales are amazing. The biggest thing for doing that, though, again, is building an email list. If you have people that are indicating that they're interested in that that product or that at least that industry, you're going to be miles ahead, and you're going to get those like early sales after you get your family and friends to buy it. Having a great video and a great campaign page are really helpful as well. But just really be prepared and it's kind of something that gets, I get asked about this a lot. It's something that gets like kind of overlooked. It's just how much work goes into a campaign. It's like, it's like a whole business. It's a full 30-day or 60-day effort where you're pushing and trying to get press and blogs to talk about it. And you can do that if you get your goal hit within a few days, quite easily to get that additional traffic. But yeah, it's a lot of work, but it's great if you know you have a great product, if you have a strategy, if you can make a video, if you can get these assets together, if you can get some people to buy it and start that traction and get a plan together ahead of time, really prepare yourself. It's fantastic how you can start a company like that now. And you can just, get that cash in the door to place your first order. It's probably going to be a little tighter on cash flow than you think. At least it has been for us every time we've done it. But that gives you traction. And when you have sales and you can demonstrate some validation in the market, you can start to actually go to investors and say, hey, like we have this, we need some cash for inventory. It's a much better conversation than saying, hey, I have this idea, I need some cash for everything. Investors are like, okay, cool, we'll come back when you have some sales and you have something. You have so much more leverage when you get to that point. So I think I just rambled there for like 4 minutes, but I hope there was
it's cool. There was some good nuggets in there, and one thing that I just wanted to kind of highlight actually was you basically were talking about social proof as well with regards to the crowdfunding, and I think social proof is relevant in all marketing actually. So just to mention it as a point in the conversation for people who are listening and watching, that social proof, don't forget it is 100% necessary for your marketing strategy. All right, I'm going to mark that as answered. Thank you, Naomi, for asking that question.
Thank you.
Let's see what we got here. A few more. I think we could answer a couple more questions, and then I will need to start wrapping up. So we've got one here. We've just got a vote. What's 1 to 3 things that could take your crowdfunding campaign to the next level? Okay, I guess we kind of answered that, Gary. If you don't mind, Gary, if you comment right now and tell me that you're okay with us considering this one answered.
Yeah, I would say like video, the pre-launch plan, getting people to buy the product so that there's no $0 that like the campaign is demonstrating, having a plan to pitch press, and then advertising it. Those are like sort of the 5 main things: advertising with Facebook and wherever you can to get traffic to that and get eyeballs to that.
Okay, nice one. All right, so the next one here I've got is, how do you transition from low traffic Facebook ads to increasing traffic and growing quicker? We are spying on big sub boxes on SimilarWeb, the tool, trying to go from 1,000 to 5,000 subs quickly. I guess I'm asking, how did you go from startup to scale up?
Yeah, so I mean, again, like great content was our secret, and I'll speak to the best of my ability. I'm really big on not trying to blow smoke where it's not my area of expertise, but to the best of my knowledge. We still have had issues scaling certain ads, and I'm sure this is kind of what you're referring to, is when you crank up the spend, sometimes Facebook will just try and eat through that budget as quick as possible with some people that aren't necessarily quality clicks. And Facebook's also done some dirty tricks where it's like the end of the quarter and they want more profits. So like everyone across the board that we talk to, the acquisition cost just kind of goes up out of nowhere mysteriously before they post their earnings. But yeah, I mean, we have had issues, and I think like that rapid experimentation for us and finding what works and then creating content around the ideas that seem to resonate with people has been really powerful. I'm sure you've looked into like creating lookalike audiences for your best customers that you've had historically. That's been really powerful for us because we try and shy away from the people that are, for us, we offer packages, and we also offer, people go through the main funnel, and the people that check out with a $1, we charge a flat fee for shipping. So $3.99 for shipping. If somebody orders like a $1 beard oil and the $3.99 for shipping, we lose money on that. But most people want to get more for their $3.99 shipping, so they end up ordering 3, 4, 5 items. So we try not to target the people that are just going to order those 1 items and go for those multi-item users. That's huge for us because that's where we actually make our money long term and in the short term. I wish I could offer you more insight on how to scale the Facebook ads. It's just really not my area of expertise, but I know that content's been huge for us. And yeah, I wish I could help you more, but that's pretty much all I got.
No, it's a fair, I think it's a good answer. And I think you hit on something there as well, which I find really interesting is once you've got some data and scale, if you're say at the 1,000 subscriber mark, you can start to actually see like this segment of our customers behave in this way. And you have enough basic data points to be able to start to cohort, cut it down into cohorts. So as you said, like doing the ads, you can start to find out that these types of people with these interests behave this way when they actually get to us. So you can double down and focus on them, which basically you're finding out repeatable, scalable marketing strategies and doubling down on the ones that are the most cost effective. So yeah, I think it's a good answer. So I appreciate that. And thanks, Gary, for asking that one as well.
Yeah, and just know that you're not alone. We have trouble scaling sometimes too. So
Ashley has asked, if I wanted to procure small lotions from name brands, would I be reaching out to the brand itself or one of their distributors? Obviously, I want to get the proper approval to include name brand items in a box, but I'm a bit confused on how that works, even after reading multiple posts on it.
Yeah, I mean, so we've never done, I guess, like the sampling method, which is something that I would love to actually get into. I think it's a great idea, even for us to start working in affiliate programs or even to like sample our own products. But I would recommend using LinkedIn, to be honest. I used to work in contract manufacturing and in business development in the pharmaceutical industry in another life. So I was doing like licensing deals and helping countries or companies enter new markets, which is crazy because I'm not a pharmaceutical guy at all, very much natural health. But I was really, really able to do a lot with LinkedIn to get to the right people. So you're searching through an organization, trying to find somebody that's in business development or partnerships or sales or something like that. And I would just like find where their head office is, if possible, call it up, ask for the person by like first name, be like, hey, this is Chris there, Chris Soikos or whatever. Yeah, like pretend like you know them a little bit and then get right to them and call them. I'm not the best at telephone sales at all. I'm not a great salesperson unless I really, really believe in something. And I wasn't really believing in generic pharmaceutical business development. So it was a little difficult for me. But that's one way to get through. Or you can send them emails on LinkedIn and just sort of be transparent and, again, sell them on the vision. If you're like, hey, I'd like to, get a couple samples and put it in my box and it'll be really cool and I'll have lots of customers. You got to go in there with like a plan and a vision and say like, hey, this is what we're doing. And like, it'd be great if you want to be in this. If you're the right person to talk to, like we're launching with 10 companies and we'd like you to be one. And if not, whatever, or, some sort of like, I guess, like not like a scarcity thing, maybe a scarcity thing, but just really to have your stuff together and look like you know what you're doing, even if you don't, because that's literally all anyone's ever doing in business is pretending like they know everything and they actually don't. I don't.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys do.
100%. I feel like I don't know anything as well. And I look back at 10 years ago, I'm like, I thought I didn't know anything then. I feel like I know a lot more than I did 10 years ago, but I still feel like I don't know anything.
Yeah. Everything keeps changing. But just be prepared for those meetings and those phone calls and just give it a shot. And having that plan, I think, is going to be great. I
like that. And thank you, Ashley, for asking that. So I want to start summarizing here, actually, the things that we've kind of covered in this conversation. But before we do that, I just want to say that I've actually added a call to action button at the bottom of this page. Alex has been super, super helpful, and he's always willing to offer help and advice as well. So he's saying that, he'd love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. I'll let him tell you where you can find him, first of all. But there is a button here that you can click to find him on LinkedIn straight away. Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Alex Brown. You should see me come up with the beard. I actually just recently got the beard away in favor of a mustache for the winter. But LinkedIn's great to connect with me. And if there's any questions that I couldn't really answer properly, would love to help you out or connect you with somebody maybe that can help you better. Or if you didn't get to answer a question or you're just shy, that's cool too. You can hit me up with that, or just want to stay connected. And I'm starting to write a little bit more. I'm starting to speak more on stuff like this. And it's really a passion of mine to help people. So the questions that you guys have might help me develop some really cool stuff in the future. So happy to help as much as I can within reason, because we all have a limited amount of time. But happy to connect with you guys. Stay connected. Let me know how you're doing. And we'll just all keep building together and keep figuring it out and pretending like we know what we're doing. Nice one. So guys, connect with Alex on LinkedIn. I'm just going to quickly summarize here, though. I think the key points and takeaways from this is basically like vision is number one. Like, absolutely, you have to have a very crystal clear vision about what you're trying to achieve, because it kind of defines where you go from there for everything else. And another thing that seems really important, Alex, is that content and adding value is number two, if I'm not mistaken. And I think those two things together are quite intertwined, actually. And then kind of like the community aspect and the building the relationship with the customer as well. Would you say that that's quite a good summary of what we've kind of covered?
And just to put that in additional perspective too, so we, as I said, we messed up our fulfillment. We screwed up our website and left a ton of money on the table. We didn't know how to build the list and do e-com properly. And we outgrew our supplier and our manufacturer, and our product offering was priced improperly, and we did a ton of stuff wrong. What we did right was content from the get-go. We had great content. We didn't capture that community, but we built a community around that. So if you have nothing else, your content can carry you through hard times and get you to that next spot, and allow you to make those mistakes and figure it out and get to a good place where you can grow again and get past that.
Nice. Well, Alex, I just want to say again, thank you ever so much for taking the time, because I know you're busy, and I'm sure everybody else is very grateful for you taking the time to come and share your wisdom and knowledge and the experiences that you've had through the Beard Club. And yeah, man, awesome. Seriously, really enjoyed this, and I'll be posting this on the Facebook group afterwards. This was live on Facebook. I'm sure it'll automatically post actually, and we'll share it on our channels as well. So man, thank you again so much, and I hope everybody got the same from this. I got something from it. I think Alex offered exceptional value today, and hopefully you guys have been inspired. I know I have been. So
yeah, thanks so much for having me, and all the best to all you guys. Keep grinding, keep pushing, keep learning, and we'll all get there.
Thanks very much, Alex. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, guys. What a gentleman. Really excited to have had Alex on today. So just to wrap up quickly here, thank you all for watching. We had I think we had a decent turnout actually, a lot of responses. I don't think everybody managed to make it though this Friday. If you feel like Fridays are not great for next events, just let us know. Always open to feedback. But yeah, make sure, click the button, find Alex on LinkedIn, connect with him. He's a true gentleman, and I'm really excited that we looks like everybody's had a great time as well. In the comments, we've got people thanking Alex. Thank you both so much. Yeah, guys. Well, this is the first event of 2018 again, and I'm super pleased with how it's gone. We're polishing these live events, and hopefully we'll have some more awesome special guests lined up for future events. And yeah, I'll be seeing you guys on the Facebook group, and yeah, make sure you ask questions to Alex and myself. We're always available. Thanks, guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, and we've got special announcements coming up soon. Stay tuned.